After the fourth event, I got pulled aside by Colin to hop on the live stream. He just congratulated me on the first 4 events. But he then asked me, he goes, Cambi, have you ever fancied yourself to do the open class?
Do you ever get to go to the Opens? Do you ever fancy that? And what I challenge you to do is go into the Opens and kick some ass. How about that?
You might entice me, but I'm open to the conversation.
At that time, I was pretty dead set on being in 105, maybe potentially for the rest of my life. But he said,
I'd love to see you there, mate. I think you're a great character, and I'd love to see you bulk up. I think you could be a natural Open.
And that kind of planted the seed in my head that I could be this Open competitor and that I could potentially make it to Giants Live and maybe World's Strongest Man one day. I wrestled for 10 years, 4 years in collegiate and then 6 years in middle school and high school. In college, you have folk style wrestling. In the Olympics and international competitions, you'll see Roman Greco and freestyle wrestling. I was never really into that type of wrestling, and so it would be a whole new type of wrestling that I would have to pick up. I wasn't really quite interested in changing up that style, so I was looking for that competitive outlet. At first, I was going to try bodybuilding, and then the bodybuilding led to strongman. And the fact that they had weight class strongman was like, wow, there's an opportunity for me to compete. I only thought it was the big boys when I used to watch World's Strongest Man in like the early 2000s. I always thought it was so cool. Mariusz Bujanowski was the guy. Same thing with Derek Pouncil. Those are the guys that I wanted to be like at the time. However, I just didn't think that for myself being a big heavyweight athlete was achievable. 10 years later, when I was 22, is when I actually found out that Strongman had weight class athletes. So I was only 5 pounds weight from the middleweight at 231. So I thought that's something that I could give a try and be able to compete in the sport without being the super heavyweight right away. So the goalpost always moves, I would say. I thought I wanted to be one of the best 105 kilos in the country. Competed in the actual weight class for 10 years, so went to the national level, became a pro, went to America's Strongest Man every year, went to World's Strongest Man 4 times during that span. Between 2015 and 2021, I went winless for 6 years. So I would get 2nd and 3rd, 4th and 5th and 6th until 2021, where I won my first big show, and at the time it was kind of like a North American Championships. Later in the year I won America's, and then I followed up that America's with the official Strongman Games, which was really the one I've been working towards because that's the World's Strongest Man. Prior to the last 2 times I went to OSG, I actually took 2nd one year, so at official Strongman Games. So I wanted to really follow up that performance 2017 with a big performance in 2021. So winning back then was the kind of the big staple for my career to kind of really project myself. But then after that big win is when the talks of being an open heavyweight kind of started. I think anybody would be lying to you in any weight class or in any division if they said they didn't want to be at World's Strongest Man one day. I personally thought I could make it a World's Strongest Man as a 105 kilo with my credentials at the time. Learned that wasn't the case, so the only way to potentially get to that mark was going to take the step up and go the open and start proving myself as an open class heavyweight in order to get to the ultimate goal of World's Strongest Man. My plan was mid-2022 to finish out the year doing America's Strongest Man 105 and then World's Strongest Man 105 and then make the jump. Unfortunately, I got hurt in that process, but it kind of drive my fire to be a bigger and better super heavyweight. So I made the move starting probably late 2022 to become the super heavyweight Nicolas Cambi. I knew I had certain things I had to get stronger, but I was also still kind of rehabbing from the previous injuries, but I knew that the Arnold Amateur was going to be my first big test. I came in 8th place, but most of the competition I was anywhere between 2nd and 5th place. I proved to myself that in certain events I can hang with the guys, but there's other events that I really need a lot of work on. But at the time I was almost really just an oversized 105, not really a full heavyweight, being at about 275 at the time. So I knew that going into the rest of the year, if I can get to a solid 285, then I'd be in a good position. So far have made a good course in terms of the Arnold Amateur, whereas I got my feet wet in the heavyweight by the last 2 contests, coming out of a win at the Arnold Europe and to win at Italy's Strongest Man. And then the official Strongman Games is going to be the Super Bowl for a lot of different competitors. It's not only a place you can win your World Strongest Man title, but for the open heavyweights, it's the opportunity to get to the Giants Live Tour that will help you get to the World's Strongest Man Tour. And a lot of big challenges so far being a heavyweight with putting on the weight and staying athletic. But the more time that goes on, the more confidence I have that I can fit into this new mold. But I originally said it was going to be a 3-year process, and I'm almost at the first full year of competing. But I think in another 2 years I'll really become that solid heavyweight that I want to be. Make it to World's Strongest Man, I think it would be the world to me. It would be one more step closer to making strongman potentially my full-time work and provide for my family, and being able to inspire others would be just a life complete going forward. But in terms of satisfying that little Italian boy that used to watch World's Strongest Man growing up, I think it would just be a really huge combination of this, the American dream of working towards something and being able to achieve that through hard work and perseverance. Will official Strongman Games be my ticket to World's Strongest Man? We will find out.